It's named Providence because God's providence began it and has sustained it since the very beginning.
I learned so much from Hope, and Hope reveals herself slowly. I learned how to be kind. I learned how to be understanding. I learned patience.
I don't think you can meet Hope and spend 5 seconds in her presence and not really see this divine energy about her.
You know, some people know of God, some people know about God. She knows God, and God knows her. I'm convinced of that.
Anybody that spent time around her saw that they could make a positive impact on someone in need.
I first met her as a sophomore at St. Joseph Academy. One of the things that I remember her teaching us was that we all had the ability to make a positive change in the world.
It was a very difficult and long decision to open a home for children. Why was I thinking of something else when I was enjoying so much what I was doing? We came to the conclusion that this is what I was called to do.
Sister Hope came along, and what she wanted to do in this little tiny house was to have a place for children to be safe.
My favorite memory was when she called and said, "Now, Jane, this is really just what we should do. You tell me what to do." And, you know, the thing about her is she had so much confidence in me. And I'm like, am I gonna be able to do this? She's like, well, of course. You know, just put it together, I'll do it, we'll do it, it'll be done, that's how it is.
At that time, I was living on West 44th with 4 other sisters, and a house became available 3 doors down from our house. The rent was $200 a month. Now, at that time, I had no money, I didn't have a bank account, and I had never, ever written a check. So let's open a house for children, $200 a month rent. I told a friend what I wanted to do. Well, she took it upon herself to tell her pastor, St. Thomas the Apostle Church in Sheffield Lake. He liked the idea, and so we put a basket out in the bingo hall. And every Monday night, the people playing bingo would contribute whatever they wanted to. And that paid the rent every month. Providence.
She saw this problem and knew you had to get these kids into some loving environment out of a bad situation.
You know, Sister Hope started off small, but there was such a need. I mean, she saw a niche of tremendous need in this county, and the agency is still here and it's still strong. Agencies that don't have a need eventually go out of business.
You just know that either she's anointed or something, that you're sitting with somebody very, very, very special, who's very humble about what she does.
Her humility is incredible when you think about what she has done for the city, what she's done for the city's children. I mean, she saved 8,000 children's lives. And while she wasn't here every day doing that, she was the inspiration that started it.
At the end of the first year, Ellie Lucchini said, "Sister, this house is not big enough for the number of children that are coming. We need a bigger house." At that time, the Westside Catholic Center was moving from the north side of Lorraine to the south side of Lorraine. They had purchased the building at the corner. And 2 houses came with that. They knocked the first house down, and before they could decide on the second house, I asked if I could rent it. And they said, if you promise to use it for children, we'll give it to you. Providence. The first time we saw the house, it was in deplorable condition.
I couldn't believe that she was thinking of turning this place into a nursery, but you could tell that she could see it.
The places weren't, glamorous, but they were full of love.
And I said, we don't have the money to renovate. And Ellie said, don't worry, sister, my father's company will take care of that. He works for the Famicos Foundation. And I said, what's the Famicos Foundation? And she said, they renovate old houses. Providence. The second year we were here in this house, Rena Blumbergi appeared on the scene.
It was one of life's most wonderful happenings. I was invited to make a speech before a group coming together the second time to have a luncheon in honor of Providence House. And I said to them, I better see Providence House before I go to make a speech. So I was taken on a lovely tour on a beautiful day, one house. It didn't take very long. I then met Hope, and I went to the lunch, and I've been hooked ever since.
Rena called me and said, I have this woman who is incredible, who's doing this phenomenal thing for children, and she needs help because the law is not right.
And Rena Blumbergi talked to David Goldberg and his family, and they owned Ohio Savings Bank. And they agreed to buy that house and renovate it for us. And that's how we became owners of Leo's house. Providence. Now try to tell me God didn't want this house.
One of my favorite things is when I go visit her in her apartment, she has 2 photos of children. One is the little girl that she met that really prompted her to open Providence House, and the other is the first little boy who ever lived here. And they're still on her wall in her living room.
I think probably the most important word to describe Sister Hope is loving. She has an extraordinary love for the children, for their mothers, for their whole families.
I can't believe, though, that even Hope could have imagined all of this.
The way Hope and Natalie run this place. No value judgments, kindness and loving.
I mean, look at what she's created. I mean, it's just really a marvelous story.
I said she has a quiet charisma. You can't say no to Sister Hope. She will not let you say no to her. And I think that's part of her success.
And I would be in meetings with her, and she just commanded the room. Everybody listened and respected Sister Hope.
She's a visionary, and she's a trailblazer.
And every time I say Hope, I think of Hope, and it's no accident that that's her name. She is the personification of hope. Look what you've done.
It's 37 years later. That's the main message. Love the children as you would love your own family.
One of my favorite stories that Hope tells is the first grant check she ever got for, it was like $200 or something, and she thought, oh my gosh, I'll never need money again. And then she got a bill for $250, and she kind of looked up and said, God, you are pretty funny. Like, where do you think I'm gonna get this other $50? But she did, and here we are 37 years later, and even in the darkest days when I wonder how we're gonna make it through the next recession or funding challenges, and she says, honey, it's Providence. It will come.